Today, class, we will be doing a charcoal drawing. We are going to be creating a drawing that has a feeling of depth and space using 3 techniques. 1, overlapping, 2, placement, and 3, shading. To begin, you're going to need a white piece of drawing paper. On the back, you're going to write your name and class code. Flip it over. Then you're going to decide, do you want your paper to go tall, vertical, or do you want your paper to go horizontal? I'm going to do mine tall because that's the only size that will allow the whole paper to be seen while I'm filming this demo. If you want to do horizontal, it'll look something like this. To start off, what we need to do is first create a flat plane. We're going to use a ruler, and we're simply going to make a horizontal line that breaks our space up into almost like we're creating a table or a floor and the wall or the space behind it. We just need to create some sort of a surface. So place your rulers. You're going to hold your ruler with one hand, and then with your other hand you're going to lightly draw a horizontal line. This is breaking up your space. Already we are working to create a sense of space. We've created this surface here, and this would be our background. Now, the first object that we are going to draw on our paper will be the sphere that we practiced drawing last week. I have my compass already set up. I'm sticking with my 4 centimeter radius circle. And I'm going to make sure that wherever I place my circle on my flat, this will be my table, wherever I place it on the table, I need to make sure that it's going to fit so I can test it out. I'm going to put my pencil there, so yes, it's not going to go off my paper. So I'm going to hold my compass down with one hand and hold the paper also, and then twirl and finish my circle. This is trickier to do when I'm recording it. There. So I have my sphere. It doesn't look like a sphere, it looks like a circle, but we're going to add some value, some shading to make it look like a sphere. Now what we're going to do is we're going to practice some placement and overlapping. Now if you'll notice in this example I have, my sphere, my circle, is going to be overlapping on top of my cylinder. And I'm going to show you how to do that. I'm going to put my cylinder behind my sphere. So I'm going to use my ruler again, and the sphere is made up of 2 vertical lines for the sides. I'm going to have one line going behind my sphere. Then I'm going to have another line the other side over here. I'm drawing lightly because I'm going to erase some of this. So my bottom, my cylinder that I'm drawing is now behind my sphere, and I want it to be placed a little bit further away from my sphere. So I'm going to actually draw the bottom of the sphere down here, but let's first finish the top. To draw a cylinder, you're just going to make the top of it a squished ellipse, or an oval if you want. So my cylinder is going to have an ellipse top, and I can go ahead and start editing. Erase that overhang line there. And then I'm going to repeat this oval, this ellipse, down here on the bottom. Now if you want to, you can lightly sketch that other side down. So I need my ellipse to go from this side to this side. Ooh, that's funky. This is a lot harder to do during a video demo. There we go. So now you can see I've got an ellipse on the bottom, ellipse on the top. Now because the cylinder is behind my sphere, I'm actually going to erase this stuff. I don't need it, so I'm going to erase it, which is another reason why We need to draw lightly. Boom. Now, I'm also going to erase this part of my ellipse because this is actually behind my cylinder. If it's a solid form, I'm not going to see this other edge of the bottom of my ellipse. So I can erase that. And then I'm going to erase that extra little line. And then these lines are the only ones that I am keeping. Boom. So far, we've got some placement. My sphere is sitting on my table right here. And I've placed my cylinder further back on the table right here. I've got some overlapping. My sphere is in front of my cylinder. And now for the shading. So for the shading, we practiced last week making 3 values: a dark, a mid-tone, and a highlight or a white. First thing you need to do before you start shading is figure out what side your light source is coming from. Is your light source coming from the right, or is it coming from the left? It cannot come from both sides, so you got to pick one or the other. I'm going to say my light source is coming from the left. So I'm going to erase this sun over here. And you can lightly sketch a little symbol of a sun, feel free, to help remind you where your light is coming from. So remember, the light source, whatever side of your object is closest to the light source, is going to be the lightest. This will be the white. As your object gets further away from your light source, it gets darker. Here would be my light, my white. Here in the middle would be my mid-tone. And over here, this side right here, this is going to be my darkest. Before I start adding value with my chalk pastels, what we need to do is first erase this little table line back here, because it's behind my cylinder. We're not going to see it. And now we can start adding the value. So this is my darkest side, and this will be the darkest side of my sphere. I can start by adding my charcoal to this side, making sure I don't color over my sphere. And we can start blending. Again, remember, you are using your finger to blend. You're using your finger just like your pencil. So I'm not going to blend outside of my cylinder. I'm going to try my best to keep blending my finger inside the cylinder. Okay. Now obviously I'm going to need to add some more value here because I have a great mid-tone, a little bit of a dark tone here, great mid-tone, but my mid-tone needs to go all the way here. So I'm going to keep adding. And I can also start adding to my sphere. Remember, this is the side furthest away from my light source. So it's going to be darkest here, lightest here. So start adding that darkest value and using your finger just like you're using your drawing tools, follow the shape of your solid form, working to blend and creating that gradual change, going from darkest to mid-tone to a white or your highlight. All right, let's do this.